Hey guys, Tom here, and today, once again, I'm bringing you my SmackDown review for this week. I've kind of been neglecting my SmackDown reviews a little bit, but you just can't ignore SmackDown anymore because SmackDown is clearly the better show week in and week out. Once again, SmackDown absolutely smashes Monday Night Raw out of the park. I loved this week's SmackDown show. I loved last week's SmackDown show. It just keeps getting better as the weeks go by. There really is a huge feel in the air that you're watching a Revolution once you're watching SmackDown Live every single week. It's just so great. There's just a little buzz in the air, and it's awesome. SmackDown is doing something different. Monday Night Raw just feels like, well, like it's always felt, but SmackDown, every single week, it manages to top itself, and it is awesome to watch. So if you guys can smash the likes, let's get right into this review. So the main event, we're going to talk about the main event, AJ Styles against Dolph Ziggler to determine who was going to be the #1 contender to Dean Ambrose at Backlash. This match was really, really good. I bet they can even put on a better match than this. It was a solid match, but I bet they could even put on a better match because it was decent, but I think I can see they could do a little bit more, but it was still a pretty decent match. AJ Styles picking up the win, which is absolutely awesome. I thought that zigzag when AJ Styles bounced off the ropes was so cool. Now, this match took a little bit of a while for me to get into it, but once I got into it, I was so hyped. I was like, holy shit, who is going to win? I just didn't know. I thought a triple threat sounded cool. I thought AJ Styles against Dean Ambrose sounded cool. We got the latter, which I'm absolutely excited for. I think AJ Styles feuding with Dean Ambrose is going to be awesome. Imagine if AJ Styles wins the WWE Championship, the top prize. That would be amazing. This is going to be such a good feud. I really enjoyed Dean Ambrose on commentary as well. I think he's such a cool dude. He just doesn't care, and he's hilarious to listen to. So overall, I thought the main event was pretty decent. I really liked the opening where AJ Styles walked in on everybody backstage, and he was just gloating about beating up John Cena. He gloated at Dolph Ziggler. He is so great. AJ Styles is absolutely awesome. He cut a great promo on John Cena midway through the show as well. He is quickly becoming my favourite part of SmackDown. It is absolutely awesome. So we've also got to talk about the opener where they announced two new championships. Now we've got a tag team championship for SmackDown and a women's championship for SmackDown. Now they didn't necessarily actually give us new names for these championships. They literally showed us them, but are they just going to be called the tag team titles for SmackDown or the women's titles for SmackDown? They didn't actually say. Surely they can't just call it the same thing. But basically, like we predicted, the Women's Championship is blue instead of red, which I'm absolutely fine with because I thought the Women's title looks cool on Raw, so just putting it on blue makes absolute sense. I never really liked the Tag Team Championship anyway, so having a blue strap, I think that one looks a little bit daft. I mean, it does look a bit weird with the blue there, but at the end of the day, we're like 5 weeks into the draft now, and the Tag Team division, the Women's division, they've been fighting over absolutely nothing. It was a complete waste of time, so this is well overdue. This is going to be awesome. I was slightly confused about the tag team division tournament through the show. I mean, we had the first match, which was the Usos against the Ascension, and I only realised once the Usos won their match that that was actually the first match of the tournament. I mean, I don't know if I wasn't listening properly or what, but apparently the Ascension are now out of that competition, and the Usos are in the semi-final. Now, the first match of the night was Becky Lynch against Alexa Bliss. I really enjoyed this match. We actually got two pretty decent matches to start this week's SmackDown. Alexa Bliss taking on Becky Lynch, and also the Usos taking on Ascension. Two pretty decent matches, actually. Now, this first match, the women's match, was awesome. I was slightly surprised that Alexa Bliss took the pinfall, but giving Becky Lynch the win is huge because she hasn't had a win on SmackDown for a while, and also, you get a little bit bored of seeing them build up the same stars as, for example, Alexa Bliss week in and week out. So Becky Lynch gets the win in a pretty solid match. I really enjoyed it, and the women's division on Raw and SmackDown, it really feels really good. I mean, how many times in recent years have you just thought, another women's match, I can't be asked to watch this? But I'm really eager to see women's matches like this every single week on SmackDown or Raw. We also got the Usos match against the Ascension, which I thought was actually pretty decent. Now, I'm not too impressed with the tag teams on the SmackDown Live roster. I mean, the Usos are only they're the only team that are former tag team champions. I mean, they really do lack a little bit of star power on this week's SmackDown. It was more obvious on this week's SmackDown than previous weeks, but the tag team division is a little loose. It's not great, but the Usos, they beat the Ascension here, which was actually a pretty decent match. The Ascension, they haven't been given a lot of exposure on Raw when it was on before the draft. Well, on SmackDown, they're getting a little bit more exposure, and we're actually seeing what the Ascension can do a little bit more. Now, this was a solid match. Really, really good. The Usos, they have really gone off the boil a bit. They got booed really badly at SummerSlam. They didn't get booed on SmackDown, but I can kind of tell that they're trying to build them up and try and get them to the point they were in like 2013 or 14. They gave them the win over the Ascension. Is it the right decision? Possibly. We'll have to see later on in the tournament. So another big story on this week's SmackDown. Loads of new storylines started, but Carmella turns heel on Nikki Bella, which I think is actually pretty exciting because Carmella, she came out, she did a moonwalk week in and week out, and the crowd just didn't care. They really should have brought her in with Enzo and Cass, because then she would have actually got over. But, I mean, she looks cool, she looks exciting, but she didn't really connect with the crowd, and it didn't get over. So they've turned her heel. They're going to see if this works. I think this could be pretty exciting, because it obviously was not working as her being a good babyface. It was not working at all. So we're going to see, is she going to feud with Nikki Bella, or is this just going to be another little storyline within that six-pack challenge at Backlash? We'll have to see, but it definitely wasn't working for her before. So hopefully with this heel turn, it shall work, and hopefully Nikki Bella puts her over. She's the right one to do it, so we'll see how that one transforms. We also got another storyline starting this week on SmackDown, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. So Randy Orton came out to the ring. He cut a pretty decent promo about his loss to Brock Lesnar, but it was short-lived because Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds, on his own, which I think is better. I think the Wyatts have been holding him back for far too long. He came out on his own. He cut a very good promo on Randy Orton, saying that he was God, he was a monster. Randy Orton is just a human, he feels pain, but Bray Wyatt is a god. And I thought this was great. This is one of the better Bray Wyatt promos. Sometimes I sort of drift away from his promos because they get a little bit boring, but this one was short, sweet, and I think it was great. And also, they didn't get in the ring together, they didn't fight, nothing like that happened. It was just a tease. It's going to be a slow burner. It was a setup for the weeks to come, so they didn't go all out, they didn't have a fight or anything like that. This one is going to build and build slowly, which is great. Also, backstage, pretty important, Shane McMahon said the sort of F5 from Brock Lesnar, that story is not over, which is exciting. Are we going to get Shane McMahon against Brock Lesnar? That is something I could really get into. So, Rhino agreed to be Heath Slater's partner. I absolutely loved that Heath Slater promo at the start of the show. I mean, they're really giving this guy a lot of mic time, and he's proving if you can give somebody a mic, they will really try as hard as they can to get over. This was awesome. This was so cool. People are actually getting behind Heath Slater, which is crazy in itself, but he is really, really funny. Daniel Bryan said, you can't compete for the women's title because you're not a woman. I mean, this was great. I mean, he really genuinely is getting over, which is crazy. But he came from the crowd and he got in the ring and he said, I want a contract. They all the same stuff, but he's genuinely becoming like one of my favourite things of each show. Some people hate it. I love it. I think it's great. Apparently he's going to team up with Rhino next week, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm sure they could have picked somebody else. Maybe he just gets scored by Rhino or something, and then they just drag it out for another week. Is he going to get a contract? Is he not? But apparently he has to win the whole tag team tournament to get a contract. So we'll see. Will he lose his first match, or will he go all the way to the final and lose at the final? We all have to see. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the last tag team tournament quarterfinal match. It was American Alpha taking on Breezango. This, once again, was a really good match as well. I mean, so many great matches on this week's show. The main event was obviously the best match, but this was another great match. American Alpha, they are being pushed, obviously, very heavily since coming in to the SmackDown Live roster. Out of anybody, they are the one that they're pushing the hardest. But at the same time, it is getting a little bit predictable and a little bit boring. It would have been really cool if what they did was they got beat here. If they got beat here, then that really would have opened up this whole tournament. For me, right off the bat, it's obvious that American Alpha are going to win the Tag Team Championships. So if they lost here, it might have opened it a little bit more to other tag teams and would have made this whole tag team tournament a little bit more exciting. Right now, it's great, it's cool, American Alpha are looking good, obviously, but it's also very, very predictable at the same time. I mean, how long can this last? Not very long. I mean, there's very good, decent tag teams that are having to put over American Alpha week in and week out. How long can that last? And it is getting a little bit boring at the same time. They have good matches, but I'm just getting a little bit dull of seeing American Alpha win every single match. But anyway, another great match for this week's SmackDown Live. So yeah, I thought this week's show was once again awesome. I'm going to send this show to Super City because it really was super. This was a good show. I'm going to give this week's SmackDown Live an 8 out of 10. I gave Raw yesterday a 7.5. I think this deserves an 8 out of 10. New storylines have been started on this week's show. We've got 2 new belts. Things are getting pretty exciting. We had an awesome main event between Styles and Dolph Ziggler. So I hope you guys have in fact enjoyed today's video. Remember to smash the likes, that would be absolutely awesome. Also subscribe for daily WWE videos and follow me on Twitter. There you can follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching. Take care. Spike your hair.